October 2024. A Russian Su-34 fighter bomber streaks low over the Black Sea, searching for targets. The pilot feels safe. He's flying a $40 million machine armed with missiles and countermeasures. Naval threats are supposed to stay in the water. Then, his radar warning receiver screams. Not from above, from below. A small, unmanned surface vessel, barely visible against the waves, has locked onto him. Before he can react, a surface-to-air missile erupts from the drone boat. The age of autonomous naval air defense has arrived, and it's rewriting every rule of modern warfare. This is the story of how Ukraine turned cheap, remote-controlled boats into the most feared weapon in the Black Sea, and how they're now hunting aircraft from the surface of the ocean. When Russia launched its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February 2022, the world expected a swift defeat. Russia possessed the world's second-largest navy. Ukraine had virtually none. The Ukrainian navy had been decimated in 2014 when Russia seized Crimea and captured most of Ukraine's fleet. By 2022, Ukraine had one frigate, a handful of patrol boats, and no ability to challenge Russian naval dominance. The Black Sea became Russia's highway. Warships fired Caliber cruise missiles at Ukrainian cities. Landing ships transported troops and equipment. Naval blockades strangled Ukraine's economy, trapping millions of tons of grain in Odessa's ports. Traditional naval warfare was impossible. Ukraine had no destroyers, no submarines, no cruisers. But they had something else: desperation, ingenuity, and a small team of engineers who'd been experimenting with unmanned surface vehicles since 2016. These weren't military drones. They were modified jet ski hulls, powered by automotive engines, guided by Starlink satellites, and controlled by operators hundreds of miles away using modified PlayStation controllers. They called them Sea Baby and Magura V5, and they were about to change everything. September 14, 2023. The Russian landing ship Minsk sits anchored in Sevastopol Harbor, Crimea's primary naval base. It's supposed to be one of the most defended ports in the world, protected by coastal batteries, patrol boats, and surveillance systems. At 3 a.m., security cameras capture something moving through the water. Small, fast, deliberate. 3 Sea Baby drones, each carrying over 400 pounds of explosives, navigate through the harbor defenses. They're semi-autonomous, AI-assisted navigation with human oversight. The operators, sitting in a bunker near Kyiv, watch through forward-facing cameras as the drones approach their target. Impact. The explosions tear through the Minsk's hull. The ship lists violently, taking on water. Within hours, satellite imagery confirms the damage. A $100 million vessel crippled by drones that cost less than a luxury car.
But this was just the beginning. Ukrainian engineers didn't stop at ship attacks. By late 2023, they'd integrated a new capability: vertical launch tubes for air defense missiles. The logic was simple but revolutionary. Russian aircraft hunted Ukrainian drone boats during their missions. Helicopters would hover, tracking the drones, directing patrol boats to intercept them. Fixed-wing aircraft would strafe them with cannon fire. So Ukraine turned the hunters into prey. The Magura V5 underwent radical modification. Engineers mounted R-73 air-to-air missiles, the same weapons used by Ukrainian fighter jets, onto the drone boats. They integrated radar warning receivers, infrared sensors, and targeting computers. The result was something that had never existed before: an unmanned surface vessel capable of engaging aircraft. Each Magura V5 drone is about 18 feet long, weighs roughly 2,000 pounds, and can reach speeds of 45 knots. It's powered by a conventional combustion engine, guided by satellite navigation, and operated via encrypted video link. The operator sees what the drone sees, a real-time video feed from multiple cameras. But the most important feature is its expendability. Lose a Magura drone, you've lost maybe $15,000 in hardware. Lose a fighter jet, you've lost $50 million and a pilot you spent years training. The first confirmed shootdown came in early 2024. A Russian Mi-8 helicopter hunting Ukrainian sea drones near Snake Island descended too low and too close. The Magura's operator, watching through the drone's camera, activated the targeting system. The infrared seeker locked on to the helicopter's engine heat signature. Launch authorization confirmed. The R-73 missile ignited, leaving a trail of white smoke as it climbed from the water's surface toward the helicopter. The Mi-8's crew had seconds to react. They didn't even see it coming. The missile struck the tail rudder assembly. The helicopter spun violently, losing altitude, crashing into the Black Sea. All crew were lost. Russian military channels initially denied the incident. Then the video appeared online, recorded from the drone itself, showing the entire engagement from launch to impact. The psychological effect was immediate. Russian pilots, already operating under intense pressure, now faced a new threat they'd never trained for: surface-to-air fire from unmanned boats that could appear anywhere in the Black Sea. By mid-2024, Ukrainian forces had refined their tactics. They began using drone boats as mobile air defense platforms, positioning them along Russian patrol routes and near occupied territories. The engagement that terrified Russian pilots happened on a clear morning over the northwestern Black Sea. A Russian Su-30 fighter jet, conducting reconnaissance, detected a cluster of surface contacts. The pilot descended to investigate, standard procedure for identifying potential threats. At 1,500 feet altitude, traveling at 400 knots, the Su-30 was well within engagement range. Multiple Magura drones activated their targeting systems simultaneously. The coordinated attack, later analyzed by defense experts, demonstrated sophisticated tactical planning. The drones created a kill zone, forcing the Su-30 pilot into a tactical dilemma: climb and lose his reconnaissance data, or stay low and risk engagement. He chose to stay low. 2 missiles launched. The Su-30's defensive systems activated, flares deployed, chaff dispersed, but the infrared seekers tracked through the countermeasures. 1 missile missed. The other struck the aircraft's left engine. The fighter, critically damaged, limped back toward Crimea, trailing smoke. It made an emergency landing. The aircraft effectively destroyed. The pilot survived, but the aircraft, worth over $50 million, was a total loss. The psychological and tactical impact on Russian operations has been profound. Russian aircraft now maintain significantly higher altitudes when operating over the Black Sea. Helicopter patrols near the Ukrainian coast have effectively ceased. Fixed-wing surveillance missions happen at extreme range, reducing their effectiveness. Internal Russian military communications, intercepted and released by Ukrainian intelligence, reveal the fear among pilots. They call the drone boats ghosts, threats that appear without warning, engage from unexpected positions, and disappear into the vastness of the sea. Russian naval doctrine never prepared for this scenario. Traditional naval air defense requires radar-guided systems, command ships, coordinated fleet actions. Ukraine's approach is decentralized, autonomous, and incredibly cost-effective. The success of Ukrainian sea drones has forced a fundamental reassessment of naval power. For decades, naval supremacy meant aircraft carriers, submarines, and billion-dollar surface combatants. Ukraine has demonstrated that small, cheap, autonomous systems can challenge conventional naval forces. The Russian Black Sea Fleet has effectively withdrawn from the western Black Sea. Multiple warships have been sunk or damaged. The naval blockade of Ukrainian ports has collapsed. Grain exports have resumed, restoring crucial revenue to Ukraine's wartime economy.
Military analysts worldwide are studying these tactics. The U.S. Navy has accelerated its unmanned surface vessel programs. China has intensified its drone boat development. The lessons from the Black Sea are reshaping naval strategy for the 21st century.
Behind the technology are human operators, Ukrainian military personnel who pilot these drones from remote locations. They describe the experience as surreal, watching through a camera as their drone approaches a billion rubles warship, knowing that in moments they'll either succeed or be destroyed. The psychological burden is complex. They're inflicting real casualties, destroying expensive equipment, but doing so from hundreds of miles away. Some describe it as playing a video game where the consequences are absolutely real. For Russian pilots and sailors, the trauma is different. They face an enemy they can barely see, can't effectively fight, and don't fully understand. Traditional military courage, facing an opponent in direct combat, doesn't apply when your enemy is an autonomous machine. The story of Ukraine's sea drones is more than just about technology. It's about adaptation, asymmetric warfare, and the democratization of military power. When Ukraine faced an enemy with overwhelming naval superiority, they didn't try to build a traditional navy. They couldn't. Instead, they revolutionized what naval warfare could be. Today, somewhere in the Black Sea, a Magura drone is patrolling. Its cameras scan the horizon. Its sensors listen for aircraft. Its missiles wait in their launch tubes. And somewhere in Russia, a pilot is briefing for a mission over that same sea, knowing that the greatest threat might not come from above, but from below. The age of autonomous naval warfare has arrived. It was born not in the research labs of superpowers, but in the desperate innovation of a nation fighting for survival. And the world is watching, learning, and adapting. Because the next war won't be fought with the weapons we expect. It'll be fought with the weapons we're just beginning to imagine. This is the new face of naval combat. Welcome to the future.